So, folks, we have to talk about an unprecedented gathering of military brass. I think for the first time ever in American history, all members of the military, I believe at the rank of brigadier general or above, were called to, I think this was Quantico? Quantico, Virginia. And they weren't told what it was going to be about. And then a few days ago, Politico revealed, it's going to be about grooming and the warrior ethos. And then we found out last minute that Donald Trump was going to come. And I gotta be honest, it came across like Donald Trump had no idea what was happening. And then someone asked about it, and he said to himself, that seems like something I should go to, and decided to go to it last minute. That's
what was the Matt
really
Walsh
how it seems
segment
like.
Yesterday supposed to be about? The I Hate Muslims video?
Nomi Sunrider, yes, and we'll get to that eventually. Thank you for the $5 super chat. So let's see what was so important that Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of Defense, or Secretary of War now, I guess, had to recall all the generals of the United States military to one place, something that is inherently one of the largest security vulnerabilities one can possibly imagine. Let's take a look, I guess.
Senior leaders, good morning. Wow, what a group here today.
You know what? I want to hear from Heggie. We demand Heggie. We demand the guy we just saw the other day flip a skateboard into his nuts. We want to see that guy. He knows the warrior ethos. Here, can we? I'm sorry, just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about. Here we go. The warrior ethos, everybody. The warrior ethos on full display. Here we go.
Please take your seats.
You know, I do have to say, a lot of what I saw from this made me feel a lot better about where our military's at.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the Joint Chiefs, generals, admirals, commanders, officers, senior enlisted, NCOs, enlisted, and every member of our American military, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the War Department, because the era of the Department of Defense is over. You see, the motto of my first platoon was those who long for peace must prepare for war.
I can't listen to it at this speed. We gotta slow it down. Like, I'm physically capable of understanding him, but it's unpleasant.
This is, of course, not a new idea. This crowd knows that. The origin dates to the 4th century Rome and has been repeated ever since, including by our first commander-in-chief, George Washington, the first leader of the War Department. It captures a simple yet...
Look at him lumbering around and just wandering the stage. Why even have a podium, man?
Profound truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: warfighting. Preparing for war and preparing to win. Unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit.
You know, as opposed to the U.S. military prior to this, prior to this, the U.S. military expended no resources whatsoever on winning.
Not because we want war. No one here wants war. But it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. Our number one job, of course, is to be strong so that we can prevent war in the first place. The president talks about it all the time. It's called peace through strength.
Look. We don't want war. We don't want to wage war, everyone. That's why we just renamed this the Department of War, and I'm talking about how you all need to be ready to go to war. None of us wants war.
And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why...
That's absolute nonsense, by the way. Just... The only people who deserve peace are the most violent societies to ever exist. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say.
Pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time. And since waging war is so costly in blood and treasure, we owe our republic a military that will win any war we choose, or any war that is thrust upon us. Should our enemies choose foolish...
Can we just, take a moment to like acknowledge that this man is talking about we can win any war we choose, which is a really big difference from like defending the United States of America. Instead, it's
this order goes back to ancient Greece, talking about Caesar.
God, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. This is just surreal. Like, I don't know. Maybe if you're in the business of choosing wars, maybe the choice should just be no war. I'm just spitballing here.
To challenge
us, a simple country
will
streamer.
Be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, FAFO. If necessary, our troops can translate that for you. Another way to put it is peace through strength, brought to you by the warrior ethos. And we are restoring both. As President Trump has said, and he's right, we have the strongest, most powerful, most lethal, and most prepared military on the planet. That is true, full stop. Nobody can touch us. It's not even close. This is true largely because of the historic investments that he made in his first term, and we will continue in this term. But it's also true because of the leaders in this room and the incredible troops that you all lead. But the world, and as the chairman mentioned, our enemies get a vote. You feel it, I feel it. This is a moment.
It's just interesting to say, like, we're the best around, but you all need a warrior ethos because you guys haven't focused on winning. But we're the best already, but like, you could be better. Like, I mean, it's silly.
Of urgency, mounting.
It's some real negging at the club bullshit.
There is no time for games. We must be prepared. If we're going to prevent and avoid war, we must prepare now. We are the strength part of peace through strength. And either we're ready to win or we are not. You see, this urgent moment, of course, requires more troops, more munitions, more drones, more Patriots, more submarines, more B-21 bombers. It requires more innovation, more AI in everything and ahead of the curve, more cyber effects.
Oh, great. More AI in everything. Excellent.
The sped up talking really doesn't capture the awkward silence when he says FAFO, expecting cheering and getting silence.
That's true. We'll replay that. Maybe it's it might be actually worth playing this at normal speed just to hear the deafening silence every time he pauses for an applause line.
Unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit. Not because we want war, no one here wants war. But it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. Our number one job, of course, is to be strong so that we can prevent war in the first place. The president talks about it all the time. It's called peace through strength. And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time. And since waging war is so costly in blood and treasure, we owe our republic a military that will win any war we choose, or any war that is thrust upon us. Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, FAFO. If necessary, our troops can
just like a woo, what one guy way in the back. Woo!
Like that for you. Another way to put it is peace through strength.
Yeah, war is peace. Yeah.
And our dear leader said he would come here, and I'm going to do my best to make sure he does, on stage.
Come! Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. And it is flaccid as hell, this conservative attempt to rally people who have dedicated their lives to, essentially protecting the Constitution of America. And I gotta say, like, I had some doubts about where the military might be relative to the Trump administration. Can we just take a look at like this image of the crowd that he's currently talking to? Like, they all look dumbfounded, irritated, depressed. Like, damn, dude. There's like one guy with like somewhat a smile on his face, and like, gotta be honest, he's probably laughing at what these clowns are saying on stage. And I gotta throw this out there. There's literally a guy right here face palming. Yeah, like, not only could a lot of this have been like an email, but like, you know, it's embarrassing shit. It is utterly embarrassing shit. We need more cyber effects.
And share the burden. America cannot do everything. The free world requires allies with real hard power, real military leadership, and real military capabilities. The War Department is tackling and prioritizing all of these things. And I'll be giving a speech next month that'll showcase the speed, innovation, and generational acquisition reforms we are undertaking urgently. Likewise, the nature...
Well, they're not supposed to react. Yeah, but my fear was that as an institution, the military was already so gone that maybe they would clap. Maybe they would be very enthusiastic about this. In the case of authoritarians actually succeeding in taking power,
I haven't seen someone bomb this hard in
that
front
would
of the
be
military
necessary.
since 2003.
Damn, Sake. Thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. I appreciated that joke.
of the threats we face in our hemisphere and in deterring China is another speech for another day, coming soon. This speech, today, as I drink my coffee.
Yeah, but like, you know, I think you guys are misunderstanding my point. My point is, we are in unprecedented times where people aren't acting how they're supposed to. So seeing that members of the military leadership are acting relatively how they are supposed to, and are, in fact, if we are to interpret anything from the looks on their faces, and the, I should also mention the, off the books responses. Pete Hegseth's speech, an insane insult to senior officers, according to a special ops leader who commented as with anonymity. Like, these people are all pissed off. You can say like, oh well, you know, they're not reacting. I mean, like, this. Look, I'm not like a body language expert or anything. But my limited understanding of human facial expressions and emotional output indicates that these are not people who are pleased with what they are seeing. You know? Just go from these two guys. Like, these are not the faces of guys who are just very composed and, you know, they composedly think that what they are seeing is a good idea, okay? Like, just throwing it out there. Also, these two look like they'd make an adorable, like, buddy cop film type situation. But I digress. And that's just two guys. Like, you could just go to, like, almost any two guys here, and, like, they're not having a great time. That being said, let's see Pete Hegseth.
This speech today is about people, and it's about culture. The topic today is about the nature of ourselves.
You just took a sip of coffee. We'll give
because
you a
no
speech.
plan, no program, no reform, no formation will ultimately succeed unless we have the right people and the right culture at the War Department. If I've learned one core lesson in my 8 months in this job, it's that personnel is policy. Personnel is policy. The best way to take care of troops is to give them good leaders committed to the warfighting culture of the department. Not perfect leaders, good leaders. Competent, qualified, professional, agile, aggressive, innovative, risk-taking,
sexy, just massively endowed, wonderful, cool, loving, comfortable, snuggleable.
Political, faithful to their oath and to the Constitution. Eugene Sledge, in his World War II memoir, wrote,
"The strength of a bear, the power of a twink. Let's go. We will develop it as the U.S. military."
quote, "War is brutish, inglorious, and a terrible waste. Combat leaves an indelible mark on those who are forced to endure it.
We will create the most genetically perfect otter you have ever seen. Our otter forces will be able to infiltrate any enemy nation and get any intel.
The only redeeming factors are my comrades' incredible bravery and their devotion to each other. In combat, there are thousands of variables, as I learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as so many of you did in so many more places. Leaders can only control about 3 of them. You control how well you're trained, mostly how well you're equipped, and the last variable is how well you lead. After that, you're on your own. Our warfighters are entitled
That's all we can do for you. Good luck.
to be led by the best and most capable leaders. That is who we need you all to be. Even then, in combat, even if you do everything right, you may still lose people because the enemy always gets a vote. We have
Man, I see some people are taking the terminology I used to mean like half man, half otter hybrids. And if that's how you want to interpret what I said, all right, go for it.
sacred duty to ensure that our warriors are led by the most capable and qualified combat leaders. This is one thing you and I can control, and we owe it to the force to deliver it. For too long, we have simply not done that. The military has been forced by foolish and reckless politicians to focus on the wrong things. In many ways, this speech is about fixing decades of decay.
Oh.
You'll be so impressed with these otters that you may want to die after mating with them from autoerotic asphyxiation.
What an utterly terrible way to go. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Highly breedable, extraordinarily deadly.
Some of it obvious, some of it hidden. Or as the chairman has put it, we are clearing out the debris, removing the distractions, clearing the way for leaders to be leaders. You might say we're ending the war on warriors.
Oh, good. We're ending the war on warriors so that the warriors can do more wars, right? Like, that's... This is so stupid. This is so stupid. I gotta be honest with you. If you're in the military, you're in this room, you're listening to this. This is so utterly divorced from anything you actually need to do your job that it's almost it would be comical but this guy is unfortunately in charge of what you do. This is like walking into your manager at Office Depot, who's telling you that from now on Office Depot is going to become a fast food chain starting today, and you're just like, wait, what? We're gonna start flipping hamburgers. We're gonna use the photocopiers to cook the meat. What is happening? And then your manager is just gonna leave halfway through the day and say, "Figure it out. Lead yourselves." And then you don't see him again for another 2 years. That's the equivalent of what's happening here.
I heard someone wrote a book about that. For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons. Based on their race, based on gender quotas.
Man, imagine if you're in that room and you're a black man who has been promoted above the rank of brigadier general.
This is the mandatory assembly they thought they stopped having to have in grade school.
Yeah, no kidding, Sake Tanuki. God. Thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs, Sake. But imagine if you're a black man who has made it to the rank of brigadier general or above, and you hear this man saying that oh yeah, anyone who got promoted in the military was getting promoted on the basis of race. Jesus.
Based on historic so-called firsts. We've pretended that combat arms and non-combat arms are the same thing.
Like I feel like we need to have. Here, we're gonna put them up there.
We've weeded out so-called toxic leaders under the guise of double-blind psychology assessments, promoting risk-averse, go-along-to-get-along conformists instead. You name it, the department did it. Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department, but not anymore.
The United States Department of Woke.
Right now, I'm looking out at a sea of Americans who made a choice when they were young men and young women to do something most Americans will not, to serve something greater than yourselves, to fight for God and country, for freedom and the Constitution. You made a choice to serve when others did not, and I commend you. You are truly the best of America. But this does not mean, and this goes for all of us, that our path to this auditorium on this day was a straight line, or that the conditions of the formations we
Your
lead.
bits are always that good, Jack.
Yo!
Have fair. Ooh, 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 IDK. If Dono Ghost is a thing still. Ooh, oh,
Whoa!
www. Oh,
10-letter name. Thank you for the tier 4 sub. Very much appreciated. And also, of course, the Dono Ghost is still a thing. Oh!
Are where we want them to be. You love your country, and we love this uniform, which is why we must do better. We just have to be honest. We have to say with our mouths what we see with our eyes, to just tell it like it is in plain English, to point out the obvious things right in front of us. That's what leaders must do. We cannot go another day without directly addressing the plank in our own eye.
Why? Okay, genuine question, right? You know, Pete Hegseth is a man who has been in showbiz for most of his life, right? And he's very wealthy, right? Why is his suit so poorly tailored that, like, the sleeves come, like, it's like a goddamn capri on his arm? Like, what the hell is happening with your sleeves, man? What are you doing? I'm just kind of like, what? Like, you have like a ton of money. You're doing this for the money. Good tailoring is gay. I just, it looks like he just picked a suit off a rack that was made for somebody else. It's embarrassing.
Without addressing the problems in our own commands and in our own formations. This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses.
Yeah, we wouldn't want people to feel welcome in the military. You know, it's not like we need to, we are already struggling to meet recruitment numbers. You know, we want to do everything possible to make it very unpleasant to be in the military. Is a hell of a message to send.
No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender.
Hell yeah, man. Like, the military is one of the most... most justifiably, the military is deeply concerned about climate change because they're the ones who are going to have to fight goddamn resource wars should, worst case climate disaster happen. And the best way, by the way, for us not to have to fight resource wars would just be not kill the planet, Like, at this point, we should consider, climate change reversal spending to be national security spending.
Delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that shit. I've made it my mission to uproot the obvious distractions that made us less capable and less lethal. That said... Jack,
he's canceling sexual assault victim services? Yeah, because of course he is. Dude, like tried to silence multiple sexual assault allegations against himself. Like, yeah, of course, he wants the good old boys to continue to, sexually assault women and fellow servicemen. Like, he thinks that's good. He like the subtext of a lot of this is that he wants to encourage troops to do sexual violence because he thinks it makes them tougher, Like he thinks it is a good thing to have these types of folks cultivated within the military. Like, I would suspect that if someone asked him about, sexual atrocities in historical, like, wars, he would probably be pretty in favor of them.
The War Department requires the next step. Underneath the woke garbage is a deeper problem, and a more important problem that we are fixing and fixing fast. Common sense is back at the White House, so making the necessary changes is actually pretty straightforward. President Trump expects it. And the litmus test for these changes is pretty simple. Would I want my eldest son, who is 15 years old, eventually joining the types of formations that we are currently wielding? If in any way the answer to that is no, or even yes, but, then we're doing something wrong. Because my son is no more important than any other American citizen who dons the cloth of our nation. He is no more important than your son. All precious souls made in the image and likeness of God. Every parent deserves to know that their son or their daughter that joins our ranks is entering exactly the kind of unit that the Secretary of War would want his son.
Yeah, the whining noise that is has been gaining in intensity. I hate it. I hate it a lot.
To join. Think of it as the goal.
Wait, is he wearing an American flag? He's wearing a goddamn American flag belt buckle. Mr. Malachite, what a goddamn eye. I can't, like, holy shit.
Would want his son to join. Think of it as the golden rule test. Jesus said,
Man, if you're going all out with the American flag belt buckle, why aren't you theming like the rest of your outfit? Why not like a tie that has the stars on it? Why not an undershirt that's pinstriped with white and red? Like, at a certain point, why aren't you just dressing in the flag?
unto others, that's what you would have done unto yourself. It's the ultimate simplifying test of truth. The new War Department golden rule is this: do unto your unit as you would have done unto your own child's unit. Would you want him serving with fat or unfit or undertrained troops? Or alongside people who can't meet basic standards? Or in a unit where standards were lowered so certain types of troops could make it in? In a unit where leaders were promoted for reasons other than merit, performance, and warfighting? The answer is not just no, it's hell no. This means at the War Department, first and foremost, we must restore a ruthless, dispassionate.
You look, you're the father of your platoon, everyone. You're the father figure of the platoon. What would you raise your platoon like you would your own children?
And common sense application of standards. I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape.
Republicans should never talk about what they do with their own child's unit.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. No fucking kidding. Socket Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. What is this? K Fox. Oh my god. The fashion sense is just, it's a choice. It's a fucking choice, isn't it?
Or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men. Or troops who are not.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna kick out like minorities and women out of the armed forces. Sure, that'll go well. That'll go great. Yeah. I'm sure that will win over the loyalty of the minorities and women who are in the audience. There are both in the audience right now. Like, Like, holy shit, dude.
Not fully proficient on their assigned weapons, platform, or task. Or under a leader who was the first, but not the best. Standards must be uniform, gender neutral, and high. If not,
Also, can we like take a moment to really reckon with the fact that when he says like people are being promoted for, you know, shitty reasons, he's basically telling everyone in the audience that they're really bad at their job and incapable of actually deciding who is fit to be promoted. You know, like he's basically telling them they're all shitty at their job. This is not how you cultivate loyalty from these people. You know, telling them that they have to like alienate their own troops and that they are incompetent and bad at their jobs. Like, that does not cultivate loyalty from the people you need in your corner if your goal is authoritarianism. Yeah, this is like an immense affront to like each and every one of these people. Because you have to remember, if you are a career military individual, like, you take a lot of pride in your work. You know? That just is kind of the way folks like that are. And, you know, my grandfather was like this. I am familiar with the archetype. And like, coming out here and shit-talking these people, these are not, you can't fire all of these people. The amount of expertise they have is too immense for you to actually get rid of, right? You need these people on your side. Whether it's to do like wars halfway around the world or to like occupy American cities with the US military or whatever you want to do, you need them on your side. And if you have not cultivated the loyalty you need from these people, if you give it an order that is quite clearly contrary to the Constitution of the United States of America, and they're pissed off at you, they are definitely not going to follow that order. You know, it's still kind of a toss-up, even if they like you, as to whether or not they follow that order. And, you know, I got a feeling that these guys might have some thoughts and feelings about Pete Hegseth here that would be non-conducive to breaking their vows to the Constitution.
they're not standards. They're just suggestions. Suggestions that get our sons and daughters killed. When it comes to combat arms units, and there are many different stripes across our joint force, the era of politically correct, overly sensitive, don't hurt anyone's feelings leadership ends right now.
You know, what's crazy to me is like, don't hurt anyone's feelings leadership ends right now. I bet if any one of these people said one bad word about Pete Hegseth would have like a complete and utter mental breakdown, you know?
At every level, either you can meet the standard, either you can do the job, either you are disciplined, fit, and trained, or you are out. And that's why today, at my direction, and this is the first of 10 Department of War directives that are arriving at your commands as we speak and in your inbox. Today...
Oh, okay, so you could have just sent an email. Awesome. Great.
At my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only. Because this job is life or death. Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level, we should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. It's common sense and core to who we are and what we do. It should be in our DNA. Today, at my direction, we are also adding a combat field test for combat arms units that must be executable in any environment at any time and with combat equipment. These tests, they'll look familiar. They'll resemble the Army Expert Physical Fitness Assessment or the Marine Corps Combat Fitness
Oh, the CCs are off. I'm so sorry, Banana Brains.
Test. I'm also directing that warfighters in combat jobs execute their service fitness test at a gender-neutral, age-normed male standard scored above 70%.
Why do political speeches to the public all feel like filibustering lately? That's actually an excellent question, and I was thinking about that myself just the other day. And I think the answer to it is that the reason it all feels like that is because they're writing speeches, all of the speeches, every single speech that, Donald Trump gives, that Pete Hegseth gives, that anyone from the White House gives, they are written to be campaign speeches, right? They are written to be pandering to the Republican base. And so when you are seeing it and you're noting the similarities, it's because they are it's unending campaign speak, It's unending campaign speak. And to really emphasize it, this isn't supposed to be a speech to the public, right? This is supposed to be a speech to all of our military leadership from the rank of brigadier general up that have been flown in from all around the world specifically to hear this speech. And if this was a normal circumstance for a speech that is so important that you have to recall all of the top leadership, this would be done behind closed doors. You would not have it recorded or released to the public, and it would not be about this. But they have turned even something unprecedented like this into a televised event because they know it's going to get a lot of people's attention because they've done something unprecedented with military leadership and turned this into a campaign speech. That's it. To engage the Republican base and be like, look, see, they're doing tough stuff. Donald Trump is tough, just like Pete Hegseth. They're talking so tough, and that's it. That it is, some scary stuff is being deployed here, but the scariness is mostly in the rhetoric, not in the actual effect of what is going into what is being put in place, right? Because even in the circumstances where they are putting certain things into place, they've fired a lot of the competent people who are supposed to implement these things. And so, it's just turned into meaningless drivel to ever prolong the campaign.
It all starts with physical fitness and appearance.
I'm sorry, you don't need to recall all of the generals to tell them that you need to make your troops hot. You need to my fair lady your platoons. Okay? You need to make them hot and sexy so that we can get more recruits. That's you didn't need to fly them in. And we all know that the thing you are implementing is new grooming standards that are going to disproportionately affect African Americans and might result in around 60% of African Americans needing to leave the armed forces, because otherwise they will get skin infections as a result of the grooming standards that Pete Hegseth wants to put in place.
If the Secretary of War can do regular hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look.
Just, again, to really clarify, he's talking to those people. He's talking to he's calling the people in the audience fat, and that they are an embarrassment to the service because they're fat. And again, if you're a general, you have 20, 30 years of experience in the military. You are not in the military anymore for your physical prowess. You are in the military because of what you've learned. And it's crazy I have to point this out, but your brain isn't like your biceps or your thighs. It's very different muscle.
Look, it is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the Joint Force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service.
Cool. So we're gonna kick out a bunch of military leaders. What is he proposing? He's proposing a way to call the military.
I can't wait until Hegseth mandates a sobriety test.
That'll never happen. That'll be the day. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. And new grooming regulations are going to give black people infections. How does that work? Well, so how it works is that they want to have every member of the armed forces essentially shaved, clean shaven. And if you are African American, there's a way that hair can grow into your face as a result of shaving too often that can lead to infections in the skin. I forget what it's called, something barbe. But that kind of infection is actually pretty serious. And this type of reaction is going to get you kicked out of the military. So it's kind of like if you stay, folliculitis, barbe. Yeah, thank you, Fox of Fate. So basically kick out like Sikhs, Muslims, African Americans, and yeah, shaving bumps, razor burn. No, it's different than that. I didn't think that was unique to black people. It's not unique to black people. It just prominently affects African Americans more so than, like, you know, white folks. Over 60% of Air Force people with shaving waivers are black, I think. Yep.
Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already, but we're codifying it. And we're not talking like hot yoga and stretching. Real hard.
Yeah, no fucking stretching. We want you to get injured while you're doing your physical training.
PT, either as a unit or as an individual. At every level, from the Joint Chiefs to everyone in this room to the youngest private, leaders set the standard. And so many of you do this already. Active, guard, and reserve. This also means grooming standards. No more beards, long hair, superficial individual expression. We're going to cut our hair, shave our beards, and adhere to standards. Because it's like the broken windows theory of policing. It's like when you let the small stuff go, the big stuff eventually goes. So you have to address the small stuff. This is on duty, in the field, and in the rear. If you want a beard...
Just as an FYI, folks are saying, like, oh, it's ingrown hairs. Now, folliculitis is not just ingrown hairs. It's like your face gets infected and can turn septic. Like, it's not good. And also, it can permanently scar your face.
You can join Special Forces. If not, then shave.
Wait, I'm sorry, what? The Special Forces are allowed to keep their beards? Why? Wait a minute, why are Special Forces able to keep their beards and not... Alright, this is just transparently stupid.
We don't have a military full of Nordic pagans. But unfortunately, we have had leaders who either refuse to call BS and enforce standards, or leaders who felt like they were not allowed to enforce standards. Both are unacceptable. And that's why today, at my direction, the era of unprofessional appearance is over. No more beardos. The era of rampant and ridiculous shaving profiles is done. Simply put, if you do not meet the male-level physical standards for combat positions, cannot pass a PT test, or don't want to shave and look professional, it's time for a new position or a new profession. I sincerely appreciate the proactive efforts the secretaries have already taken in some of those areas, service secretaries. And these directives are intended to simply accelerate those efforts. On the topic of standards, allow me a few words to talk about toxic leaders.
Dude, I don't think you want to talk about that. As part of this
We
administration, you
also
should
will be
not talk about
inspecting
that.
for Iron Cross tattoos.
And if you have one, immediate promotion to a special new unit I'm forming. The Special Soldiers. We'll call it the SS.
Upholding and demanding high standards is not toxic. Enforcing high standards, not toxic leadership. Leading warfighters toward the goals of high, gender-neutral, and uncompromising standards in order to forge a cohesive, formidable, and lethal
I'm sorry, wait, what?
and uncompromising leading warfighters toward the goals of high, gender-neutral, and uncompromising standards in order.
Oh, okay. Now we're willing to start talking about using gender-neutral terminology in buildings. Oh, okay, all right, okay. No. It's fine. It's fine and not woke when Pete Hegseth is talking about gender-neutral standards. But the second, trans people start talking about gender-neutral bathrooms, everyone starts fucking popping their eyes out of their sockets. Okay, all right. Fucking see how this is.
To forge a cohesive, formidable, and lethal Department of War is not toxic.
That's right. We will be deploying the genetically perfected otter forces. They will take our eugenics and they will march out and build dams and float on their backs in water and generally have a good time out there. We have created the perfect organism to look adorable and sexy. Wait, what?
It is our duty,
The Femboy
consistent with our
Rangers.
constitutional oath. Real toxic leadership is endangering subordinates with low standards. Real toxic leadership.
Oh man, dude, have you looked at the president's cabinet? Have you not looked around at any of the meetings you've been going to, Pete? Did you just not see the through your alcohol glazed eyes? Did you not recognize who you're working with?
Is promoting people based on immutable characteristics or quotas instead of based on merit. Real toxic leadership is promoting destructive ideologies that are an anathema to the Constitution and the laws of nature and nature's God, as Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence. The definition of toxic has been turned upside down, and we're correcting that. That's why today, at my direction, we're undertaking a full review of the department's definitions of so-called toxic leadership, bullying, and hazing, to empower leaders to enforce standards without fear of retribution.
Yeah, boys, that's right. We're allowing you to bully your soldiers now. Hell yeah! Now you can finally bring back the hazing practices that we stopped due to the proliferation of sexual assaults. Time to bring it all back. Nothing was wrong in the 90s. Nothing at all. Everything was fine.
Or second guessing. Of course, you can't do like nasty bullying and hazing. We're talking about words like bullying and hazing and toxic.
You can't like when I say bring back bullying and hazing, I don't mean like bullying or hazing. I mean like the fun ones, like the jackass types of bullying and hazing. Except I guess if you did the jackass types of bullying and hazing to someone who wasn't being filmed for a show or a movie like that, I guess they'd be pretty upset and maybe sue you in a court of law. I hadn't really thought about that, but you guys know what I mean. Like, hazing's good, except when it's bad, and bullying's good, except when it's bad, and you guys know where the line is when it becomes bad, so let's bring bullying and hazing back. Hell yeah! No accountability, that's how this is gonna work.
They've been weaponized and bastardized inside our formations, undercutting commanders and NCOs. No more. Setting, achieving, and maintaining high standards is what you all do.
And you're all really bad at it, as shown by the fact that I have repeatedly called you out for failing to meet these standards and, promoting people right. I've dedicated this entire speech so far to talk about how you're all lazy pieces of shit who can't meet at real standards like mine. But you all have high standards.
And if that makes me toxic, then so be it. Second, Today, at our direction, we're ensuring that every service, every unit, every schoolhouse, and every form of professional military education conduct an immediate review of their standards. Now, we've done this in many places already, but today it goes across the entire Department of War. Any place where tried and true physical standards were altered, especially since 2015 when combat arms standards were changed to ensure females could qualify, must be returned to their original standard. Other standards have been manipulated to hit racial quotas as well, which is just as unacceptable. This too must end. Merit only. The president
Most of his secretary career has been revenge on the army for discharging him, but the "I'm not toxic, you're toxic" whining is really transparent.
Also, like, it is really transparent, but like, if it's really that transparent to us, imagine how comically transparent it is to military leadership that is sitting there, again, just absolutely stunned and dumbfounded by what they're seeing, you know? Like, holy shit, dog. You're talking to these guys about this shit? Just, fuck, they're both 1,000-yard staring.
about it all the time, merit-based. Here are two basic frameworks I urge you to pursue in this process. Standards I call, my staff's heard all about them, the 1990 test and the E6 test.
Hey, remember when I cracked a joke like a couple seconds ago about like how everything was great in the 90s and you know nothing was bad? I can't believe he's actually embracing that textually.
The 1990s test is simple. What were the military standards in 1990?
Oh, I promise I didn't pre-watch, guys. Holy shit. Holy shit. Let's go back to the 90s when everything was great.
And if they have changed, tell me why. Was it a necessary change based on the evolving landscape of combat? Or was the change due to a softening, weakening, or gender-based pursuit of other priorities? 1990s seems to be as good a place to start as any.
If it's as good a place to start as any, why not start like, I don't know, last year? Why not start with the standards of last year? Why are you going all the way back to 1990? Why not like, I don't know, last year or 2013 or 2014? Like I don't know. Like seems kind of like you're picking that for a specific reason though. Apollo and the gift of foresight, indeed. Persephone. No, not Persephone. Cassandra. No monitor cats. Thank you for the $2 super chat.
And the E6 test. Ask yourself, does what you're doing make the leadership, accountability, and lethality efforts of an E6, or frankly an O3, does it make it easier or more complicated? Does the change empower staff sergeants, petty officers, and tech sergeants to get back to basics? The answer should be a resounding yes. The E6 test, or O3 test, clarifies a lot, and it clarifies quickly. Because war does not care if you're a man or a woman. Neither does the enemy. Nor does the weight of your rucksack, the size of an artillery round, or the body weight of a casualty on the battlefield who must be carried. This, and I want to be very clear about this is not about preventing women from serving.
This is not about preventing women from serving. It's just saying that women shouldn't serve. You know, not because I hate women, but because, you know, they're just not as strong. You know, one of the things about this is like, I'm sorry, y'all know that like buff women exist, right? Like you all know that like women that can bench more than you exist. And I don't care how much you can bench, there's a woman who can bench more than you somewhere. And the idea that like, oh well, you know, women just are, you know, weak and effeminate, and like, you know, the women in our armed forces just can't perform physically. Like come on. Like get your head out of your ass. Like go watch Go watch, like, I don't know, lesbian jocks training at the gym, okay? Like, those girls, all right, are bench pressing with the best of them.
We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best in the world. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those
mildly muscular MILF. No, Jack, I didn't know that.
Women can't serve, and I know that will make women's tennis unwatchable. But let's be honest, we weren't watching that anyway, right, fellas?
Sake Tanuki, thank for the 2 tier 1 subs. But also, it's like, women can't serve, okay? Because we all know that the ones that can really serve are the genetically modified super otters. That's right, I'm talking about the ones that are genetically modified to serve cunt. You know, we've done away with the ways of the 90s when we added a bunch of people to the military in order to maximize our effectiveness and diversify the types of people who could serve cunt. But now we have the genetically modified super otters to maximize cunt serving. We'll be opening a femboy Hooters in every enemy nation. subverting their national security. Oh, God. What are they going to do with the found out closeted soldiers? But I'm a cheerleader camp. Look, RuPaul's still around. They could send them to the but I'm a cheerleader camp. Okay, possible. Am I mistaken, or wasn't 1990 back when gay people were banned from the military? Yes, this was, yes.
Physical standards must be high and gender neutral.
Whoa, gender neutrality again here.
I kept hearing citation needed when talking with college students, so we made super dolphins and whales on purpose.
Sake Tanuki, I really like that one. I might take that and tell my partner that one, because I think she'd really like it.
Women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is not the intent, but it could be the result, so be it. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify because we're not playing games. This is
Look, we just need to kick out everyone from the military and start from scratch, everybody. It'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong?
Combat. This is life or death. As we all know, this is you versus an enemy hell-bent on killing you. To be an effective, lethal fighting force,
this is you versus an enemy that's hell-bent on killing you. And you have a gun. And as we all know, in order to use a gun, you need to be at least 6'2" and 300 pounds of pure muscle. Because that's how guns work.
You must trust that the warrior alongside you in battle is capable, truly physically capable of doing what is necessary under fire. You know, this is the only standard you would want for your kids and for your grandkids. Apply the War Department Golden Rule, the 1990 test, and the E6 test, and it's really hard.
High and gender neutral. Why, that applies to at least 80% of Portland's population.
To go wrong. Third, we are attacking and ending the walking on eggshells and zero defect command culture. A risk-averse culture means officers execute not to lose instead of to win. A risk-averse culture means NCOs are not empowered to enforce standards. Commanders and NCOs don't take necessary risks or make tough adjustments for fear of rocking the boat or making mistakes. A blemish-free record is what peacetime leaders covet the most, which is the worst of all incentives. We, as senior leaders, need to end the poisonous culture of risk aversion and empower our NCOs at all levels to enforce standards. Truth be told, for the most part, we don't need new standards. We just need to reestablish a culture where enforcing standards is possible. And that's why today, at my direction, I'm issuing new policies that will overhaul the IG, EO.
Is he legit encouraging war crimes right now? Yes. I mean, like, the basic goal that he is pushing forward here is that we need to have fewer safeguards that prevent soldiers from doing massacres. Like, that's essentially the general thrust of this. Like, when he says we need our military to be more violent and deadly, he's talking about just, like, killing civilians in order to pad out how destructive our military seems, right?
And MEO processes.
Who is this loser? A Fox News TV host who got made the head of U.S. Armed Forces, second only to the president, for some reason.
Call it the no more walking on eggshells policy. We are liberating commanders and NCOs. We are liberating you.
See, I think that he genuinely thought that this was all gonna go over really well because in his mind, military leadership should be excited to kill more people, because he thinks none of them are like, all of them are just chomping at the bit to, like, massacre villages of people. And, like, I don't think that that's necessarily true of members of our armed forces.
We are overhauling an inspector general process, the IG, that has been weaponized, putting complainers, ideologues, and poor performers in the driver's seat. We're doing the same with the equal opportunity and military equal opportunity policies, the EO and MEO at our department. No more frivolous complaints, no more anonymous complaints, no more repeat complainants, no more smearing reputations, no more endless waiting, no more legal limbo, no more sidetracking careers, no more walking on eggshells. Of course, being a racist has been illegal in our formation since 1948.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Because then why are you implementing a policy for no clear benefit to our armed forces' effectiveness that is going to disproportionately kick out African Americans and people who are non-Christians? Does that mean, like, Pete Hegseth has to be kicked out? Oh, wait, no. Because Pete Hegseth is part of the civilian leadership of the military, and thus he can be a racist. Aha, the loophole he's discovered.
The same goes for sexual harassment. Both are wrong and illegal. Those kinds of infractions will be ruthlessly enforced. But telling someone to shave or get a haircut or to get in shape or to fix their uniform or to show up on time or to work hard, that's exactly the kind of discrimination we want.
His first deployment was Gitmo for 18 months in 2004. Think about that.
Thank you for the $5 super chat, Simrek, and I will, and that's awful. I also just want to throw out there, like, he's literally advocating for discrimination now, and not only that, but I don't know, can you guys think of a situation in which, I don't know, someone might comment on someone's weight and that also be sexual harassment? Can it not be, I've just thrown it out there in case you aren't, putting two and two together here. Is it not like some level of sexual harassment or discrimination when we're talking about, like, the grooming of, like, African American members of the armed forces, like, or like, it just kind of seems to me like if you're signaling out one specific group of people with your policy for no reason, that seems kind of like you're doing the things you were just saying were illegal, but you're trying to find loopholes to make it okay. And he didn't even try and hide it, right? Which is why he pointed out these two things are illegal, but it's totally cool for us to discriminate in other ways.
We are not civilians. You are not civilians. You are set apart for a distinct purpose. So we, as a department, need to stop acting and thinking like civilians and get back to basics and put the power back in the hands of commanders and NCOs. Commanders and NCOs who make life...
We need to stop thinking like civilians, which is why we're broadcasting this to civilians.
...and death decisions. Commanders and NCOs who enforce standards and ensure readiness. Commanders and NCOs who, in this War Department, have to look in the mirror and they have to pass the golden rule test. My kids, your kids, America's sons and daughters. So I urge you all here today and those watching, take this guidance and run with it. The core of this speech is the 10 directives.
Take it and run with it. Like, if that means you guys make fun of me, like, that's totally cool. Remember, you guys are allowed to bully. So if that means you guys are gonna, I don't know, make some kind of, like, paper mache effigy of me pooping my pants, like, that's just, I encouraged you to do that. Go do that. Go do that. Look, it might be capturing me at one of the lowest moments of my life, but like, if you need to like hire a digital billboard and play on loop images of me getting hit in the nuts by a skateboard, like, I'm all for it. We just rescinded our regulations against bullying and hazing, and I, as your new Department of War head, expect to be bullied and hazed the most. Zach Fletcher, thank you for the gifted membership over on YouTube. Why can't he just name his 10 directives? He's talking so long to get to the point. Well, again, if you're going to ask that question, it also begs the question, why not just send this as an email?
We're announcing today. They were written for you, for Army leadership, for Navy leadership, for Marine Corps leadership, for Air Force leadership, Space Force leadership. These directives are designed to take the monkey off your back and put you...
Because we all know, whomst among us hasn't struggled with the monkeys on your back? You know, I wake up and I look in the barrel next to my bed and all of the monkeys are gone. And I look around and I go to the mirror and I see one on my back and I go, looks like it's another ape escape. Something Sony's never gonna say again, apparently.
The leadership back in the driver's seat. Move out with urgency because we have your back. I have your back. And the Commander-in-Chief has your back. And when we give you this...
And they to be clear, they have, the Commander-in-Chief has your back, but not like the monkey has your back. He's not the monkey on your backs. Okay, don't...
Guidance, we know mistakes will be made. It's the nature of leadership. But you should not pay for earnest mistakes for your entire career. And that's why today, at my direction, we're making changes to the retention of adverse information on personnel records that will allow leaders with forgivable, earnest, or minor infractions to not be encumbered by those infractions in perpetuity.
Oh, good. Just what we need to not know when people did a sexual assault in the military, you know? Because that's really what he's talking about, right? Like, if you're caught doing a sexual assault in the military, like, that should be wiped off of your record so that, you know, it doesn't haunt you forever.
We have your back until you aren't hazing my back enough.
Prop Games, thank you for being a member for 6 months. Appreciated.
People make honest mistakes, and our mistakes should not define an entire career. Otherwise, we only try not to make mistakes, and that's not the business we're in.
Man, it sure seems like he might be talking about something that he has a example in his mind of, but isn't inclined to share it with the class. That's so strange.
We need risk takers and aggressive leaders, and a culture that supports you. Fourth, at the War Department, promotions across the Joint Force will be based on one thing: merit. Colorblind, gender-neutral, merit-based. The entire promotion...
Well, you know, we might not want the colorblind in here, because we are going to be extraordinarily ableist when we're talking about these. Look, we're going to be sexist, sure. We're going to be a little racist, sure. We're also going to be hella ableist, all right? Which is why we need colorblind, gender neutral, non-biased policies.
Process, including evaluations of warfighting capabilities, is being thoroughly re-examined. We've already done a lot in this area, but more changes are coming soon. We'll promote top-performing officers and NCOs faster and get rid of poor performers more quickly. Evaluations, education, and field exercises.
Man, the KKK must be like just jizzing their pants every day over these clowns. Like, I'm sorry, the most racist people in the country love Pete Hegseth. I bet they're right now hand sewing him an honorary hood that they're gonna mail to him. You know, like, it's not that far out of the question. When we're talking about folks like this, they are essentially hoodless KKK members. The way they just embrace the supremacy, it's disgusting.
Will become real evaluations, not box checks, for every one of us at every level. These same reforms happened before World War II as well. General George Marshall and Secretary of War Henry Stimson did the same thing. And we won a world war because of it. As it happens, when he started the job, Chairman Kane gave me a frame and a photo to hang in my office. A matching frame and photo hangs in his. It's a photo of Marshall and Stimson preparing for World War II. Those two leaders famously kept the door open between their offices for the entirety of the war. They worked together, civilian and uniform, every single day. Chairman,
they even lived together. And rumor has it they only had one bed. You know? And what were they gonna do? Not like one of them sleep on the floor. No, they slept in the same bed. And they became closer and closer. Eventually their hearts opening up to one another. And what happened after that is only for themselves and the sheets in the aftermath to tell.
Kane and I do the same. There is no daylight between us. Our doors are always open. Our job together is to ensure our military is led by the very best, ready to answer.
And then they did, yes, and then they did war crimes, yes.
The nation's call. Fifth, as you have seen, and the media has obsessed over, I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over. The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale for me has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary. My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president.
So if you're not going in there and sucking them off on a daily basis, you're doing something wrong. All right? Just get right up in there. I've done it before you. You guys can do it too. It's fine. It just takes some practice. All right? But you got to suck them off. That's the number one rule in this military now. You got to suck the president's dick. Anyone who doesn't loses their job.
Every single day. But in many ways, it's not their fault. It's not your fault. As foolish and reckless as the woke department was, those officers were following elected political leadership. An entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength. Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI plus statements. They were told females and males are the same thing, or that males who think they're females is totally normal. They were told that we need...
What are you talking about, man? Like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm sorry, did you find it difficult to follow, like, 2 memos about LGBTQ soldiers? Was that too many things for you to juggle? Oh, man.
need a green fleet and electric tanks. They were told to kick out Americans who refused an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian policy.
Wait, yeah, no, I'm sorry. If a million Americans died, and if you're in the military, you give up a right to a degree of that bodily autonomy. And that means, yeah, they can tell you to take a vaccine. They could tell you to fucking charge a foxhole. They could tell you to like take a vaccine. Yeah.
Set by foolish and reckless political leaders. Our job, my job, has been to determine which leaders simply did what they must to answer the prerogatives of civilian leadership, and which leaders are truly invested in the woke department, and therefore incapable of embracing the War Department and executing new lawful orders. That's it. It's that simple. So for the past 8 months, we've gotten a good look under the hood of our officer corps. We've done our best to thoroughly assess the human terrain. We've had to make trade-offs and some difficult decisions. It's more of an art than a science.
Also,
we have been and will continue to be judicious, but also expeditious. The new compass heading is clear. Out with the Shirellis, the Mackenzies, and the Millies, and in with the Stockdales, the Schwarzkopfs, and the Pattons. More
Jesus. You know, again, insulting like guys that are pillars that all of these people knew, all of these people worked alongside, and like trying to put up like military dynastic names as like substitutes. That's that does not go over well.
Leadership changes will be made, of that I'm certain. Not because we want to, but because we must. Once again, this is life and death. The sooner we have the right people, the sooner we can advance the right policies. Personnel is policy. But I look out at this group, and I see great Americans. Leaders.
Trucker John, thank you for being a member for 3 months. Also, I don't know why I didn't read out your message, but I'll read it out for you. These generals are not happy at all. These guys, nah, look at them. They're just moved almost to tears. They're just so happy they're almost crying in disbelief. You know, like they're watching a home makeover on Extreme Home Makeover. You know, the bus just got moved and now they're seeing a beautiful new house where once there was a not so beautiful house.
Who have given decades to our great republic at great sacrifice to yourselves and to your families. But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service.
Yeah. You guys should all definitely quit. You should all definitely quit. You know, we just really want you to comply with these orders in advance.
But I suspect, I know, the overwhelming majority of you feel the opposite. These words make your hearts full. You love the War Department because you love what you do, the profession of arms.
What the fuck is happening in the US? It's just weird watching up from here in Australia. Well, what's going on is an authoritarian fascist movement has gained steam in America, and it currently holds most of the highest levels of office in the country, and this is why you must fight conservatives tooth and nail in your respective countries, because, folks, it's only a matter of time until they turn out like this. Until the dumbest people, the most malleable people in your society are bought up and propped up by billionaire money and then plied with gifts so that they then become, figureheads of an authoritarian fascist movement. And then the second they are in power, they defund all of your social safety nets and try and give all of that money to the richest, most powerful people in all the lands. Like that is how capitalists buy politics. And it's happening now on a global scale.
You are hereby liberated to be an apolitical, hard-charging, no-nonsense, constitutional leader that you joined the military to be.
Loving your
We need
stream
you-
so far. Joke of the day, how do trees connect to the internet? They log in.
Real Melon Lord, thank you for the £5. Very much appreciated. And also, solid joke. Solid joke.
Locked in on the M. Not the D, the E, or the I. Not the DEI or the DIE of dime. By that I mean the M. Military, of the instruments of national power. We have entire departments across the government dedicated to diplomatic, informational, and economic lines of effort. We do the M. Nobody else does. And our GoFos need to master it in every domain and every scenario. No more distractions, no more political ideologies, no more debris. Now, of course, we're going to disagree at times. We would not be Americans if we didn't. Being a leader in a large organization like ours means having frank conversations and differences of opinion. You will win some arguments.
You know, what's interesting is that this entire speech, though he's throwing around some, like, pretty dire rhetoric willy-nilly, it makes him look so powerless and weak. You know? Like, it just makes him look like a joke.
And you will lose some arguments. But when civilian leaders issue lawful orders, we execute. We are professionals in the profession of arms. Our entire constitutional system is predicated upon this understanding. Now, seems like a small thing, but it's not. This includes as well the behavior of our troops online. To that end, I want to thank and recognize the services for their new proactive social media policies. Use them. Anonymous, online, or keyboard complaining is not worthy of a warrior.
So fucking rich coming from the guy who leaked top secret military intelligence via signal chats that he wasn't supposed to be using. But okay.
It's cowardice masquerading as conscience. Anonymous, unit-level social media pages that trash commanders, demoralize troops, and undermine unit cohesion.
Oh, yeah, by the way, what's that? What's that, Pete? What's that, Pete? You told them not to leak anything, and like they immediately went and leaked how they felt about the entire thing? Oh, that's so crazy. All right. Good story, bro.
Must not be tolerated. Again, O3s, E6s. Sixth, we must train and we must maintain. Any moment that we are not training on our mission or maintaining our equipment is a moment we are less prepared for preventing or winning the next war. That is why today, at my direction, we are drastically reducing the ridiculous amount of mandatory training that individuals and units must execute. We've already ended the most egregious. Now we're giving you back real time. Less PowerPoint briefings and fewer online courses, more time in the motor pool, and more time on the range. Our job is to make sure you have the money, equipment, weapons, and parts to train and maintain, and then you take it from there. You all know this because it's common sense. The tougher and the higher the standards in our units, the higher the retention rates in those units. Warriors want to be challenged. Troops want to be tested. When you don't train and you don't maintain, you demoralize.
God. Look, you need to apply, guys, you just need to apply hustle culture to how you approach your military training, okay? Look, just hustle culture your way through the military. We won't give you any benefits or anything, but like, it would really make us look better if you were hot and ripped and also like completely and utterly disposable to the cause, you know? Yeah. Look, just less book learning in you, more stabbing people in you.
And that's when our best people decide to take their talents to the
Miss
civilian
Milena.
world.
Nobody's an M like Pete.
The leaders who
Hegseth
created the
after he's
woke
had a few
department have
drinks.
already driven out too many
He
hard
gives a
chargers.
totally new meaning
We
to the
reverse
term
that trend
military readiness.
right now.
Oblivious, thank you for the $5
There is no world in
dono.
which high-intensity war exists without pain.
What is the National Guard? In America, every state has a National Guard that can be called up in like case of emergency, usually like disaster relief type situation. But they do a certain amount of training and like, you know, have the ability to operate as soldiers, but more often they are used for like disaster relief, evacuations, stuff like that. Right? The people who sign up to be in the National Guard are by and large doing so because they want to help people in their communities in times of crisis. Right? And the problem with that is that the United States president can also attempt to assume control of National Guard regiments and like deploy those in a similar way for disasters, but Trump has been trying to use that power to deploy them as soldiers to occupy parts of their own states. So like the reserves, yeah.
Agony and human tragedy. We are in a dangerous line of work. You are in a dangerous line of work. We may lose good people. But let no warrior cry out from the grave, if only I had been properly trained. We will not lose warfighters because we failed to train or equip them or resource them. Shame on us if we do. Train like your warriors' lives depend on it. Because they do. To that point, basic training is being restored to what it should be. Scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law.
Yeah, we want our military trainers to be legally protected so that they can beat recruits. That's a really bad idea. Like, sitting in front of a room full of military specialists and saying, I think we should allow our drill sergeants to beat our recruits. I don't think you guys are going to be able to make many people recruit, to be honest.
But they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits, to make them
like beating them.
The warriors they need to be. Back to basics at basic as well. Of course, and you know this, basic training is not where mission readiness should end. The nature of the evolving threat environment demands that everyone, in every job, must be ready to join the fight if needed. A core credo of the Marine Corps is every Marine a rifleman. It means that everyone, regardless of MOS, is proficient enough to engage an enemy threat at sea, in the air, or in a solo.
Oh God, Benjamin Aristotle Buzz, I would love to see them try to implement a draft. I'm sorry, if they had to implement a draft to do exactly zero conflict, it would like, you would see riots in the streets so fucking fast.
Called rear area. We need to ensure that every member of our uniformed military maintains baseline proficiency in basic combat skills. Especially because the next war, like the last, will likely not have a rear area. Finally, as President Trump rightly pointed out when he changed the department name, the United States has not won a major theater war since the name was changed to the Department of Defense in 1947. One conflict stands out in stark contrast: the Gulf War. Why? Well, there's a number of reasons, but it was a limited mission with overwhelming force and a clear end state. But why did we execute and win the Gulf War the way we did in 1991? There's two overwhelming reasons. One was President...
You can get your birthday song if you remind me when we're not in the middle of a segment.
Ronald Reagan's military buildup gave an overwhelming advantage. And two, military and Pentagon leadership had previous formative battlefield experiences. The men who led this department during the Gulf War were mostly combat veterans of the Vietnam War. They said never again to mission creep or nebulous end states. The same holds true today. Our civilian and military...
The same holds true today. If we just pretend that whole war on terror era never happened. If we just pretend the last 24 years didn't happen, then yeah, we definitely learned a lot about no mission creep and not overstaying the terms of our deployment.
Military leadership is chock full of veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan who say never again to nation building and nebulous end states. This clear-eyed view, all the way in the White House.
Like, I'm sorry, you can't be saying that, and then like have the current president of the United States complaining that the last war didn't end soon enough, or the right way, when like Biden like actually followed through on ending the war, you know?
Combined with President Trump's military buildup, postures us for future victories if, and we will, and when we embrace the War Department. And we must. We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherent.
Yes, the Gulf War was against like a conventional military, Zach Fletcher. It was not an insurgency, and we did not go there to like occupy the area.
Reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep.
Did Biden follow through? Yeah, he pulled troops out of Afghanistan.
War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement.
What?
We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
Okay, when you loosen your standards of engagement, what you're saying is you just massacre civilians. That's the takeaway. The reason you have those standards is so that you don't just kill innocent people.
No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted, back to that E6 rule.
Just, it is crazy that he's like talking about being a platoon leader to a room full of people who've spent their entire their entire lives working their way up the chain of command and are like 15, 20, 30 years out from having their command of a platoon, you know? Like,
we let our leaders fight their formations, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly powerful.
This guy is a psycho, Matthew H.
A few months ago, I was at the White House when President Trump announced his Liberation Day for America's trade policy. It was a landmark day. Well, today is another Liberation Day. The liberation of America's warriors, in name, in deed, and in authorities. You kill people and break things for a living. You are not politically correct and don't necessarily belong always in polite society. We are not an army of one. We are a joint force of millions of selfless Americans. We are warriors.
Huh. Millions of people coming together with a singular goal? That sounds like socialism.
We are purpose-built, not for fair weather, blue skies, or calm seas. We were built to load up in the back of helicopters, 5 tons, or Zodiacs, in the dead of night, in fair weather or foul, to go to dangerous places, to find those who would do our nation harm, and deliver justice on behalf of the American people in close and brutal combat, if necessary. You are different. We fight not because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's behind us. You see, the Ivy League faculty lounges will never understand us, and that's okay. because they could never do
What are you talking about? You have your own academics and intellectuals within the military. Why people go to fucking West Point, man? Like, what are you talking about?
what you do. The media
God.
will mischaracterize us, and that's okay. Because deep down they know the reason they can do what they do is you. In this profession, you feel comfortable inside the violence so that our citizens can live peacefully. Lethality is our calling card, and victory our only acceptable end state. In closing, a few weeks ago, at our monthly Pentagon Christian prayer service, I recited a commander's prayer. It's a simple...
Not just any old prayer service, okay? It was the Pentagon Christian prayer service. You know, Muslims not allowed, Jews not allowed, Sikhs not allowed, apparently. It's very important that it's a Christian prayer service.
Yet meaningful prayer for wisdom for commanders and leaders. I encourage you to look it up if you've never seen it. But the prayer, it ends like this.
Imagine transitioning from talking about how you want your military freed of the constraints that prevent them from doing war crimes, and then transition into we all need to pray for the maximum effectiveness of our military.
And most of all, Lord,
you better not be an
please
atheist.
keep my soldiers safe. Lead them, guide them, protect them, watch over them. And as you gave all of yourself for me, help me give all of myself for them. And amen. I have prayed this prayer many times since I've had the privilege of being your secretary. And I will continue to pray this prayer for each of you as you command and lead.
You know, you can... okay. He is a total fucking wanker, but I take issue with the statement that he's a talented public speaker, because he's not. You know, he's able to speak, but there's a difference between speaking with no pauses and being a good public speaker. You know, you have to be able to be engaging with your speech, and this is boring as hell. And if you know anything about anything, it's not only boring, but it's so fucking wrong and incorrect, you know? So when it comes to the talent, I mean, his talent is being an on-air personality, but outside of being a morning news guy, talking head, nothing here is impressive. Any one of you in this chat could do what he's doing right now. No problem.
Our nation's finest. Go forth and do good things. Hard things. President Trump...
Hard things. Like the genetically modified super otters.
...has your back, and so do I. And you'll hear from him shortly. Move out and draw fire. Because we are the War Department. Godspeed.
Room! Attention!
Oh god, no one fucking clapped. And I know that they're not supposed to clap. But the fact that they didn't is a really good sign. It's a really good sign. Because if we were really down the shitter, what you would have seen was, despite the fact that they're not supposed to clap, a bunch of them clapping. But that didn't happen, because I think the military leadership owes its loyalty to the Constitution, not the president, and certainly not that fucking jackass. You know? So I appreciate it immensely. Oh god. So folks, they didn't clap for Trump either. Yeah, no, not any clapping really. At the beginning, there was one guy who laughed at a joke that Hegseth made, and then the rest was just dead silence. Imagine having I don't know, 10,000 years of combined military experience sitting in front of you, and you're getting lectured by Pete Hegseth. Oh man, it genuinely makes a mockery of our armed services that this is the leadership that has been put in charge of them. It is genuinely a mockery. And I think they both knew it. I think Hegseth and Trump walked out of this knowing that they looked absolutely ludicrous, and it's gonna haunt them. It's gonna haunt them, and it's going to be one of those things that persists in the minds of military leaders going forward. And that, I think, is an unambiguously good thing when we are staring down the barrel of authoritarianism and the US military is not inclined to help these clowns. Is Trump cognizant enough to be haunted? Maybe not cognizant enough to be haunted, but cognizant enough to be embarrassed, certainly. These fucking fascist people are owning the disaffected youth everywhere, and I really wish they weren't. I mean, honestly, it's because most of us need to do a better job about talking about what makes people genuinely happy. You know? Like, what winds up happening is that we as military members do swear to defend the Constitution, but the Secretary of Defense is head and the POTUS is Commander-in-Chief, full stop. Look, you can either say you are serving to defend the Constitution, but if you are also saying you're going to serve someone who directly violates the Constitution, then where your loyalties lie say a lot about your quality. Anyway, folks, like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things. This is a shit show, but I think ultimately it comes down to being a shit show that is good to see if you are someone who does not support authoritarian rule in this country.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, being flame more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat.